Hey there, welcome back. It's week two, episode two, however we want to call it. I don't know. It's real time creation. Two and two. Remember that? I'll be back in two and two. Old reference. So super excited to be back here with my bestie Jen. And just yeah, like here to recap the week, talk about all the things, get through the highs and lows and the everything in between. Um, I first want to hear from you, Jen. I want to know how this Project 90, how you're taking it on, how you're embodying it, what's showing up for you. I think it's very important. Would you like to share?
What's showing up for me is gratitude for things that I really want to be doing every day in my life. Ways of being, I think I mentioned last week, having when my brain scans, when my mind and my body scans of how did today go or what have I done even now, right? Like looking back at this morning, I got my workout in and it feels so good. And that was similar last week. And um, to have you running with me, really to have you running solidly is such a gift. And knowing that there's check-ins, knowing that there's a day and a time period and something that we're working towards. One of the things I love synchronicities and I love when things come into the field that I haven't put in place yet for myself, but are things that are coming in. So in coaching, so often one of the big things that we do is learn how to be super quiet. And that's holding space for the other person. It doesn't mean that we're not thinking. It doesn't mean that we're not processing. We're just not externally processing to interrupt someone else's flow pattern, which I find so fascinating every single time. And how comfortable I've become with it and not needing to jump in, not wanting to chirp in, like literally holding space, not to say that my brain isn't going. If it is, then I can take notes, which if you all saw last time or you ever do, like my eyes will wander over to another screen. I'm often writing almost everything down that a person's saying so that I can then figure out what lights them up and what energizes them and what sparks energy in me and what am I curious about, and so that we can live more lights on life. And in that space of holding, often we'll have a question that we'll ask ourselves or want to ask the other person, or something that I used to just like want to jump out of my skin. Oh my gosh, I got to ask this right now. Or it would just blurt out of me and then I'd interrupt. And then that changes the whole course of the energy. So many bits and pieces to it. And what I had happen yesterday, I feel like for myself being on the opposite side of that, even though we were in a direct dialogue about it, is that I've had in my head, I've wanted a visual calendar for a while. I'm also working on simplifying my life, and I wouldn't say becoming a minimalist by any means, but like organizing and putting things away and creating processes and systems. And I'm incredibly visual. So I had an entire wall filled with all of the things I love, things that people have done or exercises. What's the one that you created a while? Create a life you love, right? And then it was a coloring page.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that on the wall, all these things that when I see them, they make me feel great, but it then is like cluttered and chaos. So anyway, I say all of that because one of the things that I would like to do for these 90-day stints is have an actual visible calendar so I can mark the day. What has been working, what I'm loving, and I'm very grateful for is I use an app for the faster way workouts that I do. And so I can see on a calendar, the dots will show up and you can see how many days you've done something or if you missed one or you didn't. And would love that to happen in all the things. So
Mhm.
anyway, I love the synchronicity that happened maybe in the last 24 hours or 12 hours, I think, of wanting to have that, not creating it for myself, and then Ashley sending. I just want to show you this, her calendar that she's marked out every day for the entire number of days. What are we on? 11?
I'll do a little screen thing right now. I'll show it. It's so simple. I mean, it's so funny because I had this visual of being like a kid, and you're like counting the days up to something or saying how many times you've done something. And I'm like, I just want to have the 90 days and I want to, like, at the end of the day, eek, eek, like I did it. I was conscious this day and I, whether I did or didn't do, but like the day is done and I was intentional about it. And it's just like the act of doing that. And so I put it on the back of my door. And so that it's like at the end of the day, I have a pin but next to it. It's like, I think I'm getting better at doing the things to support me in whatever process I'm doing. And it's like, that is doing something the way that it works for you, not for somebody else. And really learning that for yourself. Like, what do I need right here? Like, I'm sitting at my desk right now and I laugh because like I want it to look a certain way. And I think I'm understanding that more and more I need it to feel a certain way.
Mm.
And hopefully the feel and the look come together and it by nature of feeling good looks good, but not leading with looking good, leading with feeling good. That feels really good to say.
Which I honestly think is the key to everything, right? Because we think we want something, but it's really truly the feeling that we receive and that we get, the energetic charge from whatever, whether it's a space, looking at something, having a conversation with someone, going through an experience, getting to be on the pickleball court, all of it, right? Like it's that feeling. And
Yeah.
when we operate from the feeling, I feel like we can let, at least for myself, I feel like I get out of my head, I drop back into my body and I'm like, oh, this is aligned. Let's,
Yeah. Yeah, this feels good. And I love when things come out of my mouth that I haven't thought about because then it means it's being generated right now and it's being, So I think that creating that very simple thing that's not so simple because I didn't do it before. So it's like the easier something or not, it's like, are you doing it or not doing it? That's the difference. Um, so thank you for that. And that just, and I'm happy to share it too. Um, just that simple thing has been so good during this process because I'm like, oh wow, like to go through the first week and now I'm like coming through the second week and to be doing it intentionally in a way that supports me because in this conversation I want to talk about where I feel like I'm winning and where I feel like I'm challenged. um and I think the me that always wants to I want to win it. I want to get it done. I want to do all the things. I want to check off all the things. And I've come up against some things that have made me, for example, drinking water. So if I don't start my day like drinking the water, then all of a sudden it's 8, 9 p.m. and I'm like, oh, I have to drink a whole 32 ounce to get my gallon and I'll power through it. And guess what? Now I've got to get up all night to pee because I just drank, my last sip at 11 p.m. And so two things need to change in that, and is what I'm getting at. And one is like, okay, I need to really be intentional about starting the day and like it being a continual thing. Because also what happens for me is when I get super charged and busy with something and like hurrying or whatever, water is like out the door. I just don't, it's like the last thing that I'm thinking. And so all of a sudden this long period goes and I haven't had water and now I've got to catch up. And so like that doesn't work. And so it's like, how do I support myself so that that feels better? And where do I, I'm getting in the habit of like carrying it with me everywhere I go, not just to go play pickleball, not just, but fill it up every time I get in my car so that it's the thing I grab. And it's like just creating that habit again. But after a few nights of just not sleeping well, and I'm like, I am doing everything right. And why am I not sleeping well? And I'm like, probably because I have to get up every 2 hours and I'm not used to that. I am like, I never get up. And so now I'm like, okay, if it's 9 p.m., I'm gonna call it because my sleep is really important right now. And I'm just gonna do better tomorrow, starting earlier and staying consistent. So that just conversation with myself is it's a piece of something that I see everywhere in my life. You know, it's like wanting to win the thing, but at what cost? Because the not sleeping it really doesn't work. So I'm just really present to that this week. It's like, okay, how do I set myself up to do better in a way that also sets myself up sets myself up to sleep well and have a good restful night. um so I feel like that's invaluable for me, you know to get that, to process that, to okay, like that's a great mirror, that's a great learning. Okay, now what am I going to do with it and how do I proceed? um
It's like
Also last
breaking
night.
a shame cycle of some sort, right? Like there's something wrong with me if I didn't get it instead of celebrating what we did do. And
Oh, 100%.
I
If
think
I
that's
don't do it all, then I mean,
such the key.
then I didn't do it, you know. um yeah.
What were
And
you
I
thinking?
really want to move through the places in my life where I am not kind to myself and not compassion and lack empathy and like, no, you said you are going to do. And yeah, just like to find kindness, to find compassion and, um, the challenge, it's this inward challenge. It's the inward things where I, where am I, where am I putting the emphasis, as if the exclamation mark on what the change is or what the habit is, like what's the important part of the thing. And I think being open to and being reflective on maybe there's a different way to see this. Maybe there's a different way, a different insight. Maybe there's and I want to have more of that on this journey. So the places in me where I want this to be really linear and like black and white and you did it all or you didn't, like that part of me that wants to emerge and have it be a win or not. I can just feel myself. There's moments where I'm like, you know what? It's not. I'm like, it's not what? It's just wild, like I wrote this down. I said, um, I wrote some notes, and one of the things I said, and I said, you know, I get into this like this space. I'm like, oh, this is really about the long game and working out the kinks, like you and I doing this, right? Having this dialogue, having this process that we're in. I named it Project 90, and I had a specific goal or a specific thing in mind, all within all with the purpose to just help propel me, just to help me in the areas of health, help me in the areas of mindset, help me in the areas where I'm like, I'm on and off with so many things that I just want to be more on than off. And so I was writing it and I was just like, you know, and maybe like I'm working out all the kinks. And then I'm like, maybe it's all kinks. Like, it's like there's this idea of like we're gonna get it all worked out, so it's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna be perfect, and it's like we're never gonna be perfect. I'm never gonna have a perfect day, nor do I want to. I think I do, but we don't. We I want to be spontaneous. I want to have a day where I just blow everything off and I'm like, I'm going to go play like I'm 10 and go outside and whatever, you know, get on my scooter, meet my other friend, her scooter, whatever. Like, I want to be free to be 10. That's my new tagline. Whenever I want, whenever I need to tap into that place in me that wants to be childlike, that wants to just feel what it is to just be in life, breathing and feeling and having the sun on your face and just nothing, the nothingness of it. Um, I think we just put so much on top of that and we get so caught up in the, you know, um, so I'm super aware of both things. I'm super aware of all of it. Like I want this and I'm just adding more ands and it's not black and white and it's not linear and it's my path, it's your path. And how do we make it a more enjoyable path? How do we create more um, serendipitous, exciting wins where fulfillment is just the order of the day because you're just showing up and being you and more you and more you and more you. Um,
Yeah, what's coming to mind for me is the two questions that we ask in the check-in of what worked and what didn't work. And I like reversing them to what didn't work and what did work so that we're leaving on the what did work in our brain.
mhm.
Um, and removing the judgment. So much of my life has been right, wrong, right, wrong. There's a right way, there's a wrong way, right way, wrong way. So unraveling that to what if there isn't a right and a wrong way, figuring out what is more aligned with us. And then your example of not only playing and getting to release at some points, but the water, what worked? Did you drink a crud load of water, right? Like you got it in, you're moving your body. There's so many things on the what worked list or what if we do what didn't work. I didn't get it done before 9 p.m. or your timeline. What did work is all of the things that did. And when we tell our nervous system what did work for ourselves, then we can focus on that, take it into that next day and keep running with it. And maybe what did work is getting to play like we're 10. I love how you bring in all these numbers. What can I do at 52? Be free at 10. Be free as I was at 10. Can't wait to see what next year or next week's numbers.
Ah.
What age are we going to next week?
Well, I can give you what I shared it on one of my little shorts. Um, that I realize it's just funny when I don't realize something until it just isn't apparent until it's apparent. And I've I know it's shocking, but I've been playing a lot of pickleball. And I played a lot over the holiday weekend. And um there was a moment, I mean, I was so delirious. I'd been there for 5 hours, I think, something crazy. It's also very social, and I didn't play straight for 5 hours. You know, we're visiting, and Well, there's a moment where I'm like, I'm starving. I mean, many moments. And I always have like a jerky or protein bar in my bag, one. And then unfortunately, they don't have the healthiest snacks and the vending machine, it's a lot of like potato chip, it's just not whatever. And you can ask them to put in like they have these frozen pizzas and they'll make a pizza for you. So at some point in the night, I was like, okay, we're obviously gonna keep playing. So can y'all put a pizza in for me? And so I have some pizza. So now I've had pizza. I think I've had chips. I had my one beef jerky, but and then probably candy. Everybody's like putting candy out and sugar. Every once in a while though, I need a little sugar, so it's okay. But you know, well, I mean, I barely crawled out of the place. Not to say it wasn't intense and I would have been exhausted either way, but I get in my car and I'm going, wait a minute. Like, I will drink a protein shake on my way to play. I will eat well in the morning. I will, all the way up to I will consume and eat after I will have a healthy meal. But something happens. I open the door, I step in, and I turn into like a savage, like, let me just eat whatever's in front of me and and just and because I'm starving. I mean, I'm playing. It's like this crazy thing that's happening. And so it took all of this, took me to be inside of this. It took, for me to be driving home and say, wait, I'm not being intentional about when I actually play. Like, I need a lunchbox. I need like yogurt. I need, maybe some celery, some carrot sticks, I just started thinking of all the things that I could bring that would support me again to feel good. Like, but it really, and it's not that it didn't occur to me. Like, I just stuffed things in my bag. But the difference between that and being intentional about what are the things I need to put in here to support me so that the fuel is not an issue. Like the thing that I can absolutely control is not an issue. Now my own spiraling and my that's a whole other thing, but at least give myself the best chance to do well because I'm also, playing with a bunch of 30-year-olds.
Well, and not even age. I love this so much because how often are we expecting ourselves to do something or get a result from something when we don't have the fuel, when we're running on absolute fumes, which I think is the neatest part about the play aspect too. I was listening and watching something from Rachel Hollis earlier today of like play doesn't just show up on your calendar. It doesn't just for you and I, it does maybe. We might have to turn the volume down on it. And for a lot of people and most people, especially if we have 9 to 5, whatever, 8 to 6, something, or some schedule that you're showing up for another group organization or going to places like this. And then we walk in. I'm so intrigued by myself. I have no idea what happens this time of year, but I think it's because I do really well. Then I dip for a period of time and then my body swings back to like, what are you doing to me? And I'm so like, this is not who we are. This is not aligned. Get your shit together. And so then football season rolls around and I've observed people because I would do the same thing going into the Broncos stadium. And it's like a big deal, like in my body, going to a game is like this exciting thing my dad would take us to, or my parents would take us to, and we would get cotton candy or like and so my body gets in this like excitement about it. And it's like, what? No. By the second or whatever, second half, when I'm not as interested or my attention's not holding, then I'm like, oh, I'll go get some fries. Oh, I'll go get whatever. And at the same time, I have this whole other side of me that loves health to the utmost. And we'll then like pendulum will swing. And then I come in with my clear bag because I don't know if this happens at all stadiums, but Broncos Stadium, you can bring food in, which is
Wow.
wild. And you can bring bottled water as long as it hasn't been opened. So I started bringing this ridiculous bag. I show up to tailgate with my all my veggies and my dip and my water. And we go to the Broncos game. Not all of them are like that, but when we're intentional, it's phenomenal. And when we
Yeah.
recognize, like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten, or my blood sugar, or this or that. And when I'm on track for taking good care of myself, I eat a fair amount of food and it's all prepped. And last week I did great prepping food. I did it midweek because I was excited about it. And then the weekend came, we didn't do that. So I'm setting myself up this week, not super, super success, but how can I still choose things that don't have gluten or choose things that aren't way off so I can still stay in some form of whatever? I find it so fascinating what triggers us and what we're aware of, what we're burying, what we're not aware of.
I mean, in the social aspect of just what triggered, just being and people. I mean, for me right now, I haven't said I'm not drinking, but I'm not drinking. Right. I mean, I know like during this 90 days, I have a wedding. I'm going to be out of town. I have another trip planned. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to set myself up for something but I know that every day I'm just choosing, like, I don't sleep well when I drink alcohol. And I want to know that I can be anywhere and have a great time. Like, I don't want alcohol to be something that makes me have that it in any way. And so it's like that's another thing that I'm just pondering during this. It's like I have so many. I mean, I was reading, like I had started to write down all the things that I just want to, like, again, it's these little micro habits, these little adjustments. And I have so many things written down that I'm just being mindful of. Not that I'm having to do every day, that I'm just being like, what if? A lot of what ifs. And like, what if I change this little thing over here? What if I just do this differently over here? And I think that is also making this really kind of playful in a way, because there's just room. Like, I can again be such a stickler, like the rules, and these are the rules. Like, there's no rules. There's just how do I create a life that feels really good, and I feel really good. I really do. I'm reporting in 2 weeks and I feel good. I'm every day. I love you. We're talking about your app. I have a similar thing on my habit tracker where for each of these habits that I'm staying with, and it's like I've got this protein shake that I'm putting all the things in. And I love it now. I really do. And I have made it every day. I think today's day 12 because I started it before. And I feel good, working with my weights, feeling like in my body, doing these classes. It's like the the payoff for having intention for creating this is I feel really good. Like, I feel really good. And well, what else is going to show up, and how do I maneuver through, going out of town next weekend and got a whole family big wedding, like that's going to be fascinating. How do I move through that in a way that's like, and stay in my container? Like, how do I make the best choices and make the best, of being in that situation, that I create something that just feels good. Like, there's an overall, I'm caring for myself. And so I'm super like, okay. Like, that's kind of cool. I like being in the sort of introspective, investigative journey in this, you know. But yeah, super, super interesting with the social aspect and the how we are influenced by just the world around us and how we step into things, especially around food. I know I went way off, but you were talking about food at the game, and I'm talking about food lack of.
And I think it's so important because I really believe that most people probably don't plan that enough, which is why there's so many stinking fast food restaurants where you can go like, oh, I'm starving or I'm about to pass out. And then
Mm.
you give yourself something that's just not aligned. How can we best support ourselves throughout the day when we're not planning like we could be?
If you're feeling like you don't have choice, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling very binary, like I'm either good or I'm bad, or I'm this or I'm that, like there's something about stepping back, stepping back, and recognizing that there's so many choices you can make. And there's so many ways that you can be healthy. And there's so many things you can be focusing on. And it's like, choose something, right? Like I think people get either paralyzed or like, oh, I have to do, and it's like start. That's why I like the idea of these like little micro habits. It's like start with like for me, I'm really focused on my protein intake. And I'm not looking at, I'm just objective. I mean, I'm just like, okay, I want to come down on my sugar, but I didn't do no sugar on this. Because I knew for me, I'm like, okay, that's a big one for me. So why don't I add some things that help me naturally start to drop my sugar just by the nature of I'm a big addition. I like the additions and the natural subtractions. If I focus on all the subtractions, then I start feeling like I'm being punished or like, like that 8-year-old version of me comes out. Um,
Well, and
so
let's talk about, I think, what you're getting at too, which I feel like if you're up for a pivot is so important, is the one of a couple of your main focuses, which are maybe ads, maybe not at this moment in time, but your deep focus on pickleball during this period of
yes,
time, which is
yes,
pulling you through in so many ways.
yes,
You want to be hydrated, you want to take supplements, you want to feel good, you want to increase your strength, right? So there's so many other things, and then the writing that's happening that you're
yes,
super consistent with.
yes, yes, 100%. And it's the thing. It's definitely the driver. And it's funny. So to be super transparent and honest, there's a part of me because I'm always like, well, like not everybody plays pickleball and like so I want to be able to appeal to or I want other people to, instead of like really thank you for bringing me back to that. Because again, I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm so driven by it, but I am. And I just can't freaking get enough because I'm trying to get to something and it's elusive. And wow, what a great opportunity to use that energy and use that drive to really kick it up a notch for me personally. It's why I'm doing all of this. I mean, that's pretty amazing that something could come along that would capture my attention so completely that I'm willing to be on camera again. that I'm that I'm willing to be on every day and do these shorts because it's like I need to be accountable to myself in a way that I haven't been. And if I really want what I say I want, then do all the things. Eat better. Drill. Yesterday I just was like, I'm so tired. I'm done. And Jackie says, drill? Question mark. And I've already told her, if you ask me to drill and I can and I'm available, I basically have said to myself, I have to say yes, you know? Um, because that's very different than going to play a game, right? It's intentional and it's a lot of work and but it's really to get the thing that I say I want, which is to get better and to be really intentional about it.
And to circle back, does it shift your energy when you're there? So it's different thinking about it and doing all of that. But once you're on the court, even though it's not a game,
I love it.
yeah, and that is the part that keeps pulling us forward, right? For me,
Yes.
workouts, I freaking love them. I feel so much better. I'm in my head for whatever, and all the stories, just like I was walking past chips this morning that I wanted to eat. I'm like, what, you're gonna put that in your body first thing this morning? No, no, we're not doing that. But yes, we're gonna go get our workout in, which is what we really want. And then every time when I'm
100%.
doing it, the feeling, it's like, oh,
All right, so I'm going to end this episode right here, in the excitement of recognizing what works and taking care of our bodies and nutrition and working out, as Jen so explained so well. And I'm going to stop it right now because I really want this episode to be about what is support. And I want to ask the question, what is it to get support for yourself? What is it to set up support? In what ways? What are the tools that you use? Who are the people in your life that support you? How do you create a supportive environment, a supportive process for you to get what you say you want? So I want you to think about that this week. And I am going to save some of this interview for next week because I don't know what next week is going to look like. And I am in this for fun and possibility. And I have a feeling that after, 3 or 4 days with my family and celebration and a lot of fun, that there's going to be coming back to center. Just have a feeling. So I'm going to end on this point, and thank you so much. And I'll see you next week.